In the last episode, we went to see the estate agents so that we could build the relationships and find out what potential deals they may have on their books. Before we take a look at what properties they've provided for us to look at today, be sure to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now what I've done is I've come away and I've said I'm going to look at these myself, because rather than going on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 viewings plus, I would rather do my research and work out if they're worth my time to go and see. Work smarter, not harder, okay? Looking at this first one, this is a property, a 3-bed property on Cecil Road in Gloucester, asking price £160,000. This property is currently on the market. It's on the market through modern method of auction, which I personally don't like, because as a deal packager, I can't really do anything with this property myself, purely because I can't get it off the market to advertise it to my investors, and therefore I cannot protect my deal. So it looks unprofessional. If I was to try and package this, I need to get it off the market. And in order to do that, I do believe that if you have the great relationships with the agents, they will take it off the market. But because this is modern method of auction, I have to put a reservation fee down to get it off the market, which I am not prepared to do. I'm a deal packager. We don't put any money in. Looking at this property online to see what property prices, what they've sold for in the past, I actually believe that this property is a major deal. I think it's about 24% below market value. It's probably worth about 220 grand. It has a tenant that's been in there for 16 years. To be honest, it could do with a refurb, but it's not really that bad. So you could get away without doing a refurb and just have it as an ongoing tenancy. But the one thing I would be conscious of is how much the rent the tenant is paying, which is not included in here. But the key is it's on for £160,000, and it's worth 220, and it doesn't really need a refurb. That's about 24% below market value, including auction fees. I've taken auction fees into consideration. That's about £7,000 worth of fees. So actually, this is a deal, but I can't package it, but I could buy it for myself. Now, we also, from the same agent, had these 2 apartments. There are 2 apartments in one block. They're in pretty nice condition. They're nice apartments. One major problem, they're unmortgageable, because they're above a gambling shop. I am trying to work out as we speak if we can do something creative to get lending on these properties. If we can, then potentially that might work as a deal. However, looking at what they're asking, 55 grand and 55 grand, sounds great, but actually I don't think they're worth a penny more. I think they're worth 55 to 60 max. Now, as a professional property investor and deal packager, I'm not going to pay market value for a property. What I also don't want to do is find a property that's run down, buy it cheap because it needs work doing, and then spend all of that money on the refurb, and then it's worth the same as the rest on the street, because all I've done is just wasted my time. I may as well have bought one done. So the reality is that even though these are unmortgageable, I'm trying to work out if there's something I can do to get these to a mortgageable standard, or get a product or a lender to lend on them, in which case then I can go back to the owner and say, look, I know someone who'll buy these, but the price we need to negotiate. So this is down to negotiation. It's not blown out of the water completely, but unlikely when they're asking for 55 and it's worth 55. We need to be getting these 25% below market value. Then we've got this, which is, at quick glance, looks like a 3-bed house. It's actually not. It's a house that's been converted into 3 1-bed flats with parking, and it's on for £259,950. If I'm honest, there's a couple of things wrong with this that's screaming out straight away. The first is that the flats are substantially small in square footage or meterage, which means that the smallest one is going to be a challenge to get a mortgage on it. And in addition to that, it's very hard to value, because this is a house that's been converted into 3 flats rather than the rest of the houses on the street are all houses. So I can't actually compare it to anything like for like. So this one is a bit of a sticking point. I don't think it's going to result in being anything. But again, because it's such a unique property, it may come back round that the vendor is prepared to take an offer on it purely because it's never going to sell as it is. Never rule it out completely. Priorities can change. So we're not ruling any of them out completely, but all of them are properties with problems which have been identified by the agents that they've passed on to us.